Yeah, look, this subject is something that is, quite dear to my heart. And it came up um, over the weekend. My 17-year-old took their first solo flight, and their first actual solo flight was when they were 5, but that was as an unaccompanied minor and chaperoned by staff. But this time completely on their own. And so I was kind of midwifing them through, you know, tell me when you're at the boarding lounge and so on. So when they got onto the plane, they text me, I've got a 4-year-old kicking the back of my seat. Now, I think we've all experienced that and can relate to just how annoying that is. But for context, they were on the first day of their moon time. So, your sensitivity is so magnified, okay? And to have that banging into the sacrum, the sacred bone, is very, fracturing for the body, for the energy field. And so, I said, speak up. And bless them, they found the courage to, turn around and say something, but it kept happening. And they were experiencing social anxiety, okay? And we did a lot of back and forth. And, I said to them, look, this is really a gift, because it's an opportunity to practice using your voice, okay? And something that I notice, particularly in those that are young, and particularly in young women, is that they really struggle to speak up on their own behalf, okay? And this is understandable, having been reared in a patriarchal culture that tells us in multiple messages, subtle messages every day, that as women, we should be compliant, accommodating, and nice. We should aim to be pleasing. And so, for a young woman, it can be extremely challenging to speak up on our own behalf, to use our voice, which is the second power chakra. Okay, the first one is the base root chakra at the base of the spine. The second one is the throat chakra. And the reason it's the second power chakra is it is an act of power for us to express how we really feel inside, for the inner self to risk being truly seen, and to risk being rejected, ostracized, So, and if we think about young women in particular in their teens and their 20s, and uninitiated women of all ages that are still maiden dominant, they're so worried about what other people think of them, because they're getting their sense of self-worth by reading the cues of how other people respond to them, rather than finding self-worth from within themselves, from their own self-perception. So, this went on, and he spoke to the staff member, and the staff member spoke to the child. Still the kicking persisted. There was a woman who they said was around my age that spoke to the child on their behalf, because they could see how anxious my 17-year-old was about this. And, I said to them, look, you will continue to attract catalysts in your life that push you to speak up if you don't respond to the challenge now at hand. And so, for me, what it highlights is, in our modern day culture, we don't have widespread the practice of sharing circles every month from the time we start cycling with the moon and we make that transition from girl to woman, that passing of the talking stick and having the right to speak, the right to be heard, to be truly listened to be witnessed, there's a power in that. And we're actually practicing our personal power every month when we dare to speak up, when we dare to name how we feel inside. And by practicing it in a safe space every month, it means when the stakes are higher, okay, when we're in public and there's a fear of how people will respond if we speak our truth, that because we've practiced, okay, we're better able to speak up on our own behalf. And this is necessary for us to honor ourselves, to set boundaries, to say, no, that's not okay. That doesn't feel good for me. Whether that's in our intimate relationships, whether that's in our familial relationships with our family of origin, whether that's in our workplace or with our friends. So, this is a skill that is so important for all of our interpersonal dynamics, regardless of whether it's an intimate, a social, or a professional setting. And it increases our personal power, which is why, we see women who, as they age, get better and better at naming their needs, speaking up on their own behalf, and getting their needs met. So it's another reason why getting older is actually a great thing. Life gets better with age. It's an absolute myth that, getting older sucks. When you're crippled with all of this self-consciousness in your youth, you might have toned thighs and, what the egoic culture says is the best years of your life, but there can be so much self-doubt and low self-worth that your life that you create is often filled with a lot of drama and pain and suffering. And the way to alleviate that is to practice attuning to what you're feeling and how that informs what it is you need to speak in order to create the change in your life that will honor your needs, create safety, create a more honoring and loving dynamic wherever you are, because it's up to us. No one can save us. We've been told since we were little girls, that we will be rescued by a knight in shining armor, or, and we are here to develop that within ourselves, to be able to protect ourselves by speaking up confidently, by speaking with a resonance that says, I mean what I say, and I'm coming from a centered place, from my feeling function. I'm not histrionic, but I'm coming from a place of deep inner truth. And when we speak with that resonance, those sound waves are lower than the high-pitched hysteria, and other people can receive the message. They can hear us, they can take us seriously and go, okay, so how can we better accommodate you? So if you're interested in developing this wonderful personal power tool, the ability to speak up, to use your voice in a way that is empowered, then I invite you to sit in circle. Now, there are women hosting circles all over the planet. So, you might like to go to a live circle and sit with physical people. But I'm also offering live online circles during the time of the month that is most challenging for women, which is the dark moon, the day before new moon. And this is when we're most vulnerable, most fragile. And so we need support psychologically and emotionally. And by coming together in circle and daring to speak and name our vulnerabilities and reflect upon our choices, we grow our personal power. So if you're interested to know more, this journey starts on the new moon in Aries, which is the first sign in the zodiac wheel, the mandala. So it's an annual journey, and we gather each month, one circle a month live, and we do it online. So we have women of all ages and all cultures sitting together in an online circle that I facilitate. And this practice is called the 13 moons. It's a red tent practice. It helps us to develop our intuition, our wisdom, all the positive feminine traits that help us to age gracefully and help us to grow our personal power. So yeah, if you're interested, I'll put the link in. We start in 1 week from today when I'm filming this. So yeah, if it calls you, jump on board, because we won't open registrations for another year. So thanks to those of you who joined me live, and I hope that this resonates. I let my 17-year-old know how proud I was of them for speaking up, for finding their voice, and I let them know that it does get easier. And, you know, to those of you that get social anxiety and worry so much about what people think, please consider this invitation, because I know how painful that is. I remember years ago reading a book called Born to Please because I really resonated with it. But it was the practice of circle that really shifted it for me, so that I can speak up on my own behalf and on behalf of others very easily, knowing, you know, that it is an absolute gift. So thanks for joining me. And yeah, if you've got any questions, post them below, and I'll post the link into the description now. Ciao.